Hi there, and welcome to this short video covering student finance and your potential repayments. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the repayment system for student finance. We're going to look at it in three sections. We're going to cover the facts, look a little bit at the figures, and finally do some myth busting. First of all, for the facts then. You have to pay back all the support you use while studying. In short, no. You only need to pay back tuition fee loans that you take, maintenance loans, or any postgraduate loans you have. You do not need to pay back other student finance, for example, grants and bursaries. You still have to repay your student loan if you leave your course early, so bear this in mind. When you start to repay your loan, how much you pay depends on which repayment plan you're on, and we'll look a little bit at those later. What will your student loan repayments be based on? Student loan repayments are based on your future income. This is because how much you repay each month depends on how much you earn, not how much you owe. In fact, due to recent changes in repayment criteria, although the increase in tuition fees means you'll graduate with more debt, you'll actually pay back less each month than students did previously. How much do you need to earn before you start to repay? I've set this at £27,295 a year, but this does depend on your circumstance, where you're from and where you chose to study. But for the majority of graduates, it will be set at the above rate. Do I have to start repaying my student finance as soon as I graduate? The short answer would be no. The earliest you'll start repaying is either the April after you leave your course, or the April 4 years after the course started if you're studying part-time. Your repayments will automatically stop if either you stop working or your income goes below the threshold. What if I struggle to find a job or I don't earn over the threshold? Don't panic. You simply won't make any repayments until your income is over the repayment threshold, and payments automatically stop or don't even begin if you are out of work. Will I be repaying this for the rest of my life? No way. Any outstanding loan balance will be cancelled 30 years after entering repayment. So let's look a little bit at those plans we spoke about. There are three main plans, which all depend on where you're from and where you choose to study. For the majority of students, you will fall into Plan 2. Each of these plans have their own threshold set. Let's look at those. For Plan 1, the thresholds are as follows. £19,895 a year, broken down into monthly and weekly for people who get paid that way. For Plan 2, where the majority of students will lie, that's where the £27,295 threshold per year comes from. And then there's also Plan 4. Before we continue, take a moment to find out which plan you will potentially be under. Plan 1, 2, or 4. So how much will you repay them? It's simply set at 9% of the amount you earn over the threshold. That can sound a bit confusing. So let's have a look at a few case studies and try and figure out how much these potential students will repay upon graduation. Let's start with Jeanine. Jeanine is from England and plans to go to university in England. This means they will be on Plan 2 for repayments. Just to remind ourselves of those thresholds, Jeanine's prospective graduate salary is £23,180 per year, as they're interested in going into the field of accountancy. So let's summarise those findings. Potential income is £23,180, but the threshold was set at £27,000. So they don't earn anything over the threshold, and 9% of nothing means their repayments would be nothing until they earn that threshold. Juan is from Spain and plans to go to university in England. This means they'll be on Plan 2 for repayments also. Juan is interested in going into the field of chemical engineering. Their prospective graduate salary then is around £32,000. If they bag that job with a salary of £32,000, this means they'll earn £4,705 per year above the threshold. 9% of that is £423.45 per year. But as with many salaries, one gets paid monthly. So this just means they pay £35.29 per month. Cindy is from Wales and plans to go to university in England. They're also on Plan 2 for repayments. Cindy is interested in going into the field of dentistry, where their prospective graduate salary is £600 per week. Notice that the threshold for weekly pay for Plan 2 is £524. So being paid £600 per week means that Cindy would be £76 per week over the threshold, and 9% of that is £6.84 per week. Gordon is from England and plans to go to university in England. They would also be on Plan 2 for repayments. Gordon is interested in going into the field of banking upon graduation. A really attractive prospective graduate salary in banking would be at the upper end of £50,000. So let's assume they get that job. If Gordon gets the job with the £50,000 salary, this means they would earn £22,705 above the threshold. 9% of that is £2,043.45 per year. Being paid monthly then would mean Gordon repays £170.29 per month. That does sound a lot now, but bear in mind a salary of £50,000 equates to over £4,000 per month in pay. So with respect to what they're getting paid each month, the repayments are still small. Huma is from France and plans to go to university in Northern Ireland. This means they will be on Plan 1 for repayments. Let's remind ourselves of the threshold for Plan 1 now. Huma wants to go into the field of nursing, where a prospective graduate salary is around £24,000. If they earn £24,000 then, this means Huma would be £4,105 above the threshold. 9% of that is £369.45 per year. This equates to just over £30 per month in repayments. Finally, we have Charlotte. They're from Scotland and plans to go to university in England. This means they'll be on Plan 4 for repayments. Let's remind ourselves of the thresholds for Plan 4. Charlotte would like to pursue a career in social work, where a prospective graduate salary is around £28,000. With that salary of £28,000 then, Charlotte would be £3,000 over the threshold for Plan 4. 9% of that is £270 per year, which equates to just £22.50 per month. Hopefully you've seen then that all of the repayments are manageable with respect to how much the person is earning. Have a go at researching your prospective career. Find out what a graduate salary would be in that field, and have a go at finding out what your average repayments would be per month. Time for some myth busting then. All debt is bad though, right? Well, while tuition fees in England are indeed some of the highest in the world, it's important to remember that how we pay for university here is very different for many other countries, like the US for instance. So it's not really a fair comparison. Although tuition fees here are high, you don't have to pay anything up front, and student loans are funded by the government. As you've seen, the repayment terms are manageable, they won't affect your credit rating, and the chances are you won't end up paying it all off before it's wiped anyway. Is it better to try and pay off more than the repayment they request, as with other forms of debt then? While the decision of how and when you repay your loans is entirely up to you, we'd strongly advise against trying to repay your loan early. Although repaying early would reduce the amount of interest you pay overall, in most cases it's extremely unlikely you'll even get to the point of paying off your accumulated interest at all before the 30 years are off and it gets wiped anyway. Therefore, if you start trying to pay your loan off quickly, you could end up paying off money that you wouldn't have paid back anyway otherwise. Can't pay, we'll take it away. We've all seen that programme, right? Well, don't worry, you'll never be expected to keep up with repayments if you're out of work or working in a job that pays below the threshold for your plan. Better still, you won't even be responsible for sorting out the repayments yourself, as if you're employed, they'll automatically be deducted from your salary each month without you having to do a thing. Although do keep an eye on your payslips to make sure you're not being overcharged or paying it back too early. This essentially means you'll only ever pay back your student loan when you're able to, and there's no way the debt collectors will ever come demanding payments for student loans. I've heard that if I move abroad, I'm not liable to pay back my student finance. Well, as much as we'd all love this one to be true, it is certainly a myth. No matter where in the world you're living, if you're earning over your respective threshold, you should be making student loan repayments. The annoying thing is that you have to take the initiative of contacting student finance yourself to let them know you're working abroad and set up your repayments. It won't happen automatically as it does if you're working in the UK. If you don't repay the amount you should, you'll be expected to pay the backlog of months you've missed, sometimes as a large lump sum. So it won't work as a trick to defer your payments either. I've heard lots of talk about unfair interest rates on student loans. Well, understanding the interest rate on your loan can be a total headache, and it's extremely common for students to get this bit wrong. The maximum interest that the government can charge on student loans is RPI plus 3%, but RPI naturally goes up and down over time. Therefore, when you read about student loan interest rates going up, that's not because the government's changed them, but because RPI has gone up with inflation naturally. Hopefully, you feel a bit more equipped about understanding student finance coming into higher education, and also understanding how repayments work. But if you've got any further questions, do get in touch with your potential universities or student finance themselves to query these. Thanks for watching.